Last year, I completely gave up on life. I didn't mean to do it, and I didn't even realize that I was doing it. But looking back, it's pretty crystal clear. I gave up. My life at 53 years old came to a complete standstill. But I came to my senses and I pushed the restart button just a couple of months ago. I'm sharing the things that I'm using now at 54 and a half to jump back into living life again, only this time with much more joy, hope, and enthusiasm for life than I ever had before. My transformation story started where most transformation stories start, and that is with a major setback. And that setback for me came September of 23 when I just, out of nowhere, just started speaking gibberish. I couldn't form real words because of massive inflammation in my brain caused by my body's really bad reaction to a stent that was placed in it to close off an aneurysm. It landed me in the hospital for a week, but being released was just the beginning because you know what? Brains take a long time to heal. That's why it's been a year and a half and I'm still needing to rest quite a bit during the day in order to maintain just normal functioning. The amount of time that it's taking me to heal and the realization that I would not be returning to work anytime soon because of that caused me a hefty amount of depression. I felt defeated. I felt beaten down, and I gave into the belief that I was destined to struggle all the way through life because my life just felt like one bad thing after another. I had already struggled through a traumatic, tumultuous childhood, a serious, drawn out, and painful bout of unrequited love, and a miserable marriage to an abusive, narcissistic man. But this damage to my brain just kind of iced my cake. I felt hopeless. I felt helpless. I stopped expecting anything good to come out of life, and that led me to stop trying. I gave up. Like I said in the beginning, I didn't really know that I was doing it, but when you look back at how I had withdrawn completely into my own little world, playing hours of video games on my phone or watching TV to numb myself out, it's pretty obvious that I was timed out of life. I did manage to do a good job of taking care of my kids, and that's where all of my energy went. Other than that, I was completely zoned out, just waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting for the next bad thing to happen. And guess what? It did. Around May of last year, I tore my meniscus, and although I can walk and do most everything I need to do, I can't bend my knee. Because if I do, my leg really punishes me for it. See, more proof is what I thought back then. Life sucks. Now I had a broken brain and a non-bending knee and tons of financial stress because of not being able to work. I didn't think it could get much worse back then, but it did. That's when the shoe didn't just drop this time. It totally smacked me across the face. It's when my disability insurance through my company got canceled, leaving me with no income at all, which wouldn't be such a problem if I could work, but that just isn't doable yet. My brain just gets way too tired. That was the most devastating thing that could have happened to me, especially right at the time, and it was a breaking point. I froze, absolutely froze. Everything that happened in my life so far that had been challenging, including my horrible childhood and my horrible marriage, I had just, gritted my teeth and pushed through. But now, how was I going to push through when I didn't even have my brain on board? When so much of my day was dedicated to just resting. And that was a harsh reality wake-up call. It's like life just grabbed a bucket of freezing cold water and threw it over my head to wake me up and snap me out of it. And I am so glad that it did. What that sudden shock did to me was cause me to dig down deeper inside than I had ever done before. It caused me to do a lot of soul searching and to figure out how I'm going to make life happen with my new limitations, which means that I had to face the glaringly obvious fact that my mindset and my attitude about life sucked. I had given in to the victim mentality and boo-hoo, look what happened to me, pity party for way too long. All of the previous years and efforts I'd made before to ditch that kind of thinking was not enough. It just wasn't cutting it. I had to do more and I had to do it fast. And that's why now I'm in the middle of a total major life overhaul, like a complete mindset transformation. This kind of inside out life change is not new to me because I've been trying to do this for years. But this time I finally have all the pieces of the puzzle together. I have experienced amazing progress in just a few short months in areas that before I had literally worked for years to change. I am happier and calmer than I have ever been, which is amazing because I'm really pretty sure that the word calm was never in my vocabulary before. I have learned how to feel my emotions and work through them instead of stuffing them down. I have cleared out major negative thinking and I feel confident and I feel accomplished and excited about my future versus the hopeless girl that identified most as being a total loser and had given up on life. I cannot begin to express what a tremendous turnaround I've already experienced in just a short couple of months, and I'm not even done yet. And all of this has been possible because I have been able to take all of the knowledge that I've gleaned from tons of self-help books, from videos, from life coaching courses, and studying various therapies just on my own, but also by going to counseling, to take all of that knowledge and put it all together in a way that finally works for me. I'm not special. I'm not different. I just have a pretty complicated past with a lot of trauma. And because of that, I have come to the understanding that I'm going to need to be pretty intentional and organized about reprogramming my belief system or the way that I see myself in the world around me. Why? Well, let me explain it this way. All three counselors that I have had in the past have explained that once you dig into an issue, it's kind of like taking an onion and peeling it back. Once you peel one layer, you discover another deeper one that you then can work on. I haven't found this to be true for me at all. In fact, in another one of my videos, I called my experience as being more like opening Pandora's box or like this huge closet that has been overstuffed to the point of bursting for years. Like once you open up that door, like all this crap just explodes out, flying like every which way and totally blowing me away and overwhelming me. When this happens, I'm just kind of crippled by the amount of issues and negative core beliefs that seem to come at me faster than I can even manage. And that has caused me to shut down, which is why my progress has been so slow and even halted in the past. I was explaining this to my sister a couple of weeks ago, and she said something that completely opened my perspective. She said, I don't have just one onion. I've got a whole field of onions. I have a whole bunch of stuff that needs to be addressed. And when she said that, I got the onion thing. I like this way of looking at it because it explains what I have created, which is a new method or a system for taking one onion at a time and peeling the layers back until I feel good enough about this onion to move on to the next onion. One onion at a time. Now, you don't have to be like me with a whole field of onions and a lot of trauma that you have to work through in order for you to do the same thing. In fact, I hope that most folks don't have that much crap that's dragging them down. The point here is that we want to take one negative belief at a time, no matter how many beliefs that you or I have to work on. I think that for most people, they have at least a couple of onions because, this life is challenging and things pop up that tend to cause us to doubt ourselves a lot and form at least a couple of negative beliefs about ourselves. Like, for example, I think that most American women, for them, one of the issues is feeling really unhappy about their bodies. Another issue might be lacking confidence or to start a new adventure or take some kind of risk. I mean, none of us are perfect, so there's bound to be a few onions of negative beliefs hanging out there that if they're addressed fully, you and I will finally be able to move on and start accomplishing some of the things that we've been dreaming about for years. Maybe just stop getting stuck in the same patterns or messes that we've been getting stuck in for years. Because I don't know about you, but I'm super over this crap. I'm ready to move on. Now, because I'm super geeky about all things that are self-helpy, and I can get pretty crazy about organizing things too, and because my first career was being a middle school teacher, I couldn't help myself when it came time for me to make this mindset overhaul. So I took all of the ideas that I had floating around my head from all those places that I mentioned before, the self-help books, life coach courses and doing therapy. And I made a bunch of worksheets or whatever you want to call them to line out the steps that I wanted to take and help me get organized. I needed a way to identify what onions I had that were still hanging out in my field and prioritize them by what issue was most pressing for me so that I could attack that first. Then I needed a way to start peeling back those layers, hence the worksheets. And because I would be using those worksheets in a specific order, I figured, why not call them a method or a system? Once I had that idea, I thought, ooh, this is going to need a name. See, I told you I'm pretty geeky about this stuff. It didn't take me very long to settle on the word heal because that's exactly what I'm doing. As it turns out, I was able to take the word heal and turn it into an acronym with H starting for heed, E for elevate, A for affirm, and L for love. Now, what do these mean? Well, I know that L is the last letter of the acronym, but because it stands for love, it has to come first because all of the work that I am doing has to come from a place of love or it's not going to work. Real lasting change never comes as a result of negativity or punishment, and I know that, but the problem is that I was not doing so hot in the self-love department. So I knew that that was going to be my first negative belief that I would start working on, learning to love myself unconditionally. I'm going to explain the rest of the letters in just a sec, but I wanted to throw in here real quick that I will be putting together a playlist where I go into detail on what I did for each of these heal topics. I'll share those worksheets, I'll make them available, and I will explain how I use them in those videos. The video about this topic, love, won't have worksheets, but it will share some tips that I found to be invaluable in my work of building self-esteem, love, and confidence. So make sure that you're subscribed and hit the notification button so that you're in the know when I do post those videos to the playlist. Okay, so the next one is H for heed. Part of working on loving myself was learning to love my body and appreciating all of the things that it does for me. This was crucial to my transformation plan for all of the same reasons that I already gave for learning to love myself for who I am, but also because I needed to get in touch with the signals that my body was sending me. Why? It's because our bodies are the messengers of our emotions. Think about it. Where do you feel stress? Is it in your neck, in your stomach? Is it in your back? Where do you feel anger? Is it in your head? Is it in your arms? Is it in your fists? Do you see what I mean? Our emotions are directly connected to our bodies, and our bodies are really good at telling us when something needs to be addressed. Unfortunately, most of us are so out of touch with our bodies that we have no idea what they're telling us. And that was especially true for me. I had a lifetime of stuffing down emotions because I couldn't afford to have emotions as a kid. It was too risky. And when I say stuffing, for me, I was really stuffing like food down my throat. That is how I learned to cope with things. And of course, it's also how I got so big. So if I was going to change that, I needed to start feeling my emotions and letting them have space and safety to come out instead of being stuck inside of me. That's why I used the word heed. I needed to listen to my body and heed its cues. I'm going to make a video about this too. No worksheet for this one either, but I have found some amazing ways to get in touch with my body signals and regulate my nervous system, which was a big problem that I had no idea that I had. Anyway, I have found some amazing ways that have worked wonders for me in helping me to feel my feelings and be calm. I know I'm not the only one that uses food or other things to zone out, calm down, or avoid emotions. So I'm excited to share those tips with you in that video. Okay, the next letter is E for elevate. This is where the real work on those onions we talked about comes into play because I knew that I needed to elevate my thinking. Why wasn't this first? Well, it's because I had to build self-love and I had to get in touch with my emotions through getting in touch with my body before I could even think about doing this work. I needed to build that confidence and trust with myself first. Then I could feel safe to start peeling those layers back, especially if they dealt with trauma or really painful issues. This is where the worksheets come in. I have worksheets to help me tease out the negative beliefs that I have, and I have worksheets to help me to start the process of challenging those beliefs and leveling them up one step at a time to newer, healthier beliefs. Because, by the way, it doesn't work to try to force ourselves to believe something new. We have to ease into it or our brains will flat out reject the change. Like, I couldn't just, one day think that I'm a loser and then decide, okay, I'm not going to think that anymore. I'm a success. Nope. My brain is not buying it. I've got to take it slow and easy to convince myself otherwise. To help me to remember that fact, I came up with the saying, I can't think my way into something that I don't believe. I'll go over all of how I did that and how I use the worksheets in the video about elevating my thinking, and that will also be in the playlist. Okay, the last letter, which is, actually in the middle of the word heal is not the last letter, but this is the last one I'm talking about. This is where I kind of took all of the buzzwords of today and I stuffed them into a daily journal for reminding me that I'm worthy, to be grateful, to recognize the good things that I already have going on in my personality and in my life, which is abundance, and to be mindful and intentional about adopting a new way of thinking. These are popular words these days for a good reason. This is good stuff. And reminding myself of this good stuff every single day in my journal has been so uplifting and so helpful in my transformation journey. I even included a little section at the bottom for giving myself a pep talk each day, which has been pretty awesome. That will be in the video in this playlist, making 5 videos in all, including this one. I'm guessing that if you have made it this far into the video, that I've said at least a few things that have resonated with you, and that's why I'm sharing all of this. Not because I'm some kind of mega guru, but because I needed answers and I found them, and I don't think it's right to keep all of that to myself. The answers are out there, and those answers are what I'm sharing with you in my own way. I'm not reinventing the wheel. I just really needed to pull all of the best parts of all of those answers that are floating around out there and put them into something that was organized and made sense to me, and something that I could approach one step at a time. Because even after 3 different counselors over 3 separate years, I was still overwhelmed and feeling very little progress. Organizing all of this has made all of the difference, and it has sped up my healing as I work on these things on my own and as I work with my therapist. And I hope that it will be helpful to you too. So please be sure to share with anyone else that you think might find this helpful too. I'm sharing this with everyone, of course, but most especially for those of us who have quite a bit of living under our belts. Anybody over 40 or in their 50s like me or older. I'm putting my focus here because we've been around long enough to have tried all kinds of things to get results out of our lives that still may not be happening for us. We've been around the block enough times to see that there are certain patterns in our lives that may have popped up over and over and over that aren't doing us any good, and we don't want to repeat those patterns anymore. And we're getting older, and we're starting to, or we're in the middle of facing new stages in life that are uncomfortable and unknown, and quite honestly, not a lot of fun. So at this age, we need to do some adjusting to settle into living a new kind of life that we have not been used to living so far. So whatever your situation or whatever brought you here, I am so glad you're here. I really feel like a lot of what I have put together for myself to make big changes in my own life might really be helpful for you too. The next video about learning to love ourselves more should be popping up right now for you to click on and to watch. If not, it's because I haven't loaded it yet, but it's coming very soon. Stay tuned, take care, and don't forget to share. See you soon.